As both sports radio talk show hosts and radio announcers for the team, we have a unique opportunity to be able to promote the game we will be announcing on our radio show the day before.
I want to emphasize tomorrow, we will be doing more than just broadcasting the game, which is going to be fun. We're actually filming the beginning of this documentary right now.
Well, we will be bringing you the game tomorrow. That game will be on 89.7, or you can live stream that and listen to us live from there. But we'll be taking on the Newcastle Trojans at Newcastle Chrysler High School, the beautiful and the world's largest high school basketball stadium in the world. Is where we will be bringing you that broadcast. So glad to bring that to you there. Hopefully the Cougars can come out with a big victory.
School just ended and now begins the long and essential process of preparation for the broadcast. The first thing we do is record a radio introduction for our broadcast to introduce us on air. This is vital because it lets our listeners know who, what, and when the sporting event is going live, as well as who is broadcasting the game on WRGF.
And when we record, we want to make sure that we're introducing the show or introducing the game, who the game is facing, what the records are, what has happened in the previous games, and let them know who's going to be calling the game tonight. Like what I'll do here in a minute, just to show you guys. Tonight calling the game is going to be Mitch Gibson on play-by-play, Jason Wyrick and Max Holtzclaw on color commentary. We'll send it up to the boys right now as we speak. What that does for us is it makes it sound like we are getting introduced to our own broadcast, but people do not notice this, but we have already done that, so we're shipping it down to us over at Newcastle to be able to have this game broadcasted. Hello, you're listening to Cougar Sports on WRGF 89.7 The Cougar. Tonight's bringing you the game is Mitch Gibson on play-by-play alongside Jason Wyrick and Max Holtzclaw. Tonight the Lady Cougars are coming in off of a 1-0 on the season, and also the Newcastle Trojans are 1-0 as well. Tonight we will have a Hoosier Heritage Conference matchup play against the Newcastle Trojans and the Greenfield-Central Cougars. So we'll send it up to the boys right now in Newcastle High School in the beautiful world's largest gym in Newcastle High School. You're listening to Cougar Sports on WRGF 89.7 The Cougar.
Although we like to think so, we aren't perfect. When recording our introductions, we make all kinds of mistakes when recording that don't make the final cut. We strive for perfection, and in the end, that is all we're satisfied with.
All right, we just finished recording our introduction to our broadcast in the production studio, and now what my job is to go onto the computer here and get our statistics so we can know what we're talking about when we're talking on the broadcast about both our team and the opposing team. So in this case, we'll be looking for Newcastle Chrysler High School and their girls basketball team. So you just type in Newcastle and select the one in Indiana and go to girls basketball varsity. And then when you do that, you can get access to all the stats that have been uploaded to the website from their athletic director or coach, whoever does their account. And then when you do that, now we know what we're talking about, so we don't sound like idiots when we're talking from the game.
Jason, it's 4:15. We need to get the stats printed out. Go check the box. We'll bring the box in here, make sure everything's set up the correct way, and make sure we have everything. And then we'll go ahead and grab something to eat, head to Newcastle, and get everything set up. Get ready for the broadcast. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
Right now, we just finished up the stats. We're gonna make sure that we get all of the equipment ready to go. Ready and set for the game. One thing we're going to make sure we do start bringing now is going to be this banner. It says WRGF on it to make sure that everybody gets it. So Jason, we're going to remember to grab this on the way there, on the way out the door tonight, so we can bring that with us. So that's one of the first things on our checklist, to make sure that we have that. So if people in the stands know that we are at a broadcasting station, and if they want to tell someone we were doing that, they can. So if you want to come over here and look and see what we have in the box. There's two. This is the main thing, main part of the broadcast. Without this, thing wouldn't be possible at all. So, and this is our tie line. It's called Codec Solutions. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna connect this right now to the main line. We have a power cord, and we have the converter, and also the cord to attach to that. So the first thing we'll do is make sure that we have everything there. We won't connect it seriously right now. That just goes back in there. So power cord is the main thing to make sure that we get power for that. So that's one of the first things on the checklist that we make sure that we have for our broadcast. Jason, it takes a lot of effort in time to make sure we get everything done the correct way, and make sure that we're on the road before, even if we're on the road before 2 hours before the game, make sure we get there early and get things happening. Just like something that happened during this documentary and during this broadcast, we just happened to leave the high school and headed down 9, and we got a flat tire. You're gonna go get a car wash before we left, and a flat tire happened, Jason. Things like that happen in broadcasting. That's why we leave early and we have all this time to do it. It does take a certain amount of time, but it's for things like this that happen. Whether you forget a piece of equipment back at the studio or you just don't have enough time to get somewhere. That's why we leave a lot of times earlier. Even if it's 2 hours earlier, we'll leave before for things like this to happen. In this case, we got a flat tire. We got it changed. With the help of Jason's grandparents, we ended up getting a grandparents' car to be able to take the trip down to Newcastle and broadcast this game. We weren't too late. We ended up getting there around 6 o'clock for the broadcast, a little bit earlier than that. So we were on the road about 5 o'clock finally. We ended up leaving at around 4:15 here from the studio to go grab something to eat. Got something to eat in us, and then flat tire happened. So, Jason, things like that will happen throughout the day and throughout broadcasts to come.
That's exactly right. And you always want to be prepared for everything that could potentially go wrong, and we were. We decided we were going to leave early. Having a flat tire is not something that you expect on the way to a broadcast, but it's certainly a possibility. And it happened, and we were able to get that corrected, and we were still able to show up there with plenty of time because we made the choice to leave early just in case something went wrong.
Exactly right.
Time is everything.
What we are doing here is setting up the tie line. The tie line is our connection to the board in the WRGF studio at school. We plug in the power cord, all of the headsets, and most importantly, the antenna that sends our signal back home.
Need a power cord. I'm going to run to the bottom here. I'll put it through this one right here. Mason, grab this. Hold on a second. Go ahead. Power slot here. Oh, I need the antenna one, please. We did make it to Newcastle safely, so that's all good. Jason had a rage, but he's okay now.
That's not my fault.
We had a little bit of a flat tire here. That's why we left early, to make sure that things like this didn't happen.
That's right. And you know what? We still got here in time because we got here early because we left early.
The antenna, we want to make sure we get this set up as high as possible. Probably should set up in the corner over here. Right underneath this. Camera 2, give me mic number 2.
Our guys back in the studio are the backbone to our broadcasts. Without them, we would not be able to go on the air. They receive our signal and feed it to the airways live. They also can give us public service announcement breaks as well as keep us informed of upcoming station IDs.
Hello, this is Donnie Sollers, and this is Grant Elsroth. We are here behind the scenes with WRGF 89.7 FM.
So guys, what does it take to set up a broadcast?
To set up a broadcast, even before we hit that studio, there's always somebody working and getting the show ready. And once we hit the show, we get into the studio. It could even start in here with somebody working on a PSA and getting that worked in, or a studio ID, getting that ready. But once we hit that studio, we have our producer running the board, making sure the VUs aren't too hot, and making sure that the volume's just right, and what we have for our music, and making sure that once we end our show, that automation gets back right on time, right at the top of the hour, because if it's late, it's no good, and we have a problem.
What is the atmosphere like when you're producing a broadcast?
You know, things can get very, very heated sometimes, and things get really, really hectic, especially because time is very, very crucial in this radio station, because you got to play your station IDs at the top of the hour. You know, you got to just meet all your deadlines, and you got to, yeah.
What Mitch is doing here is connecting the tie line. Once he dials the correct IP address for the tie line receiver in the studio at school, we should be able to soon hear the radio broadcast and the person at the soundboard. We can then speak back and forth to confirm going live, breaks, and station IDs.
All right, what we're going to do now is we're going to get the tie line back to Mr. McKenna back in the studio. So I'm going to put the headphones on here. I'm going to go to 3G IP1, which is the tie line back at the studio. So I'm going to press on that. But it pretty much runs me through it. So just go to IP1. So I'm going to go down to IP1, press enter. Enter again to dial it. Enter one more time. It's connecting right now. And I've got connection back at the studio. Mr. McKenna, are you back there? Can you hear me?
Meanwhile, back at the studio, Mr. McKenna is waiting to connect us to the board and put us in queue. Well, he also has a few more important instructions for us, too.
All right, can you hear me? You guys got us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I got you here.
Yep, we're connected.
All right, I got you here. Don't call for too many breaks.
Everything's good?
Yeah, everything's good. Everything sounds good. Don't call for too many breaks. And we're going to go on at the time that you tell me. So you keep me abreast of what's on the clock and when you want me to start. All right?
Yes, sir. Sounds good. I'll let you know. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
We are connected to Mr. McKenna now, so that's all we have. We're going to be shortly here to get ready for the game here, so we're going to pause and wait for the varsity game to start. So we're on air, we're good. Right now we have really good connection. So. Right now we're working on getting the right cues, the right stations, make sure everything sounds good, testing our VU levels, make sure the program level everything is okay. Jason, Mitch, and Max over here today. Max is on the show ready to go. We got everything set up so far. We got our stat sheets that Jason we did prepare earlier. Everything's good. Jason got pencils. Everybody got markers. Everybody got stuff ready to go. I have a pencil too. That's my pencil. Not bad.
I'd prefer a pen, Max.
Yeah, you use pen, I'll use pencil because I might have to erase and stuff.
You want a big pencil for big mistakes?
Yeah, dude.
Gibby.
Yeah, use that one. Use this big pencil for the eraser.
Let's up! 20!
We always want to make sure we come prepared, make sure we have everything we need. Very good to get ready to get started with this year's basketball, whether it's men's or women's. Men's are going to be underway before too long. Next week it's going to be their first scrimmage. It's going to be a Friday night at Beach Grove. Look forward to that. We are getting ready for this good basketball season. We're going to have this on, so look forward to bringing you the broadcast here. We are set up.
Good job, Megan.
Girls game's going to start here in about 20 minutes. Look forward to bringing you that game here live from Newcastle High School. Everything's set up. We're here. We're prepared and ready for the box, and we're making sure everything's set up the correct way. Which is everything's good. We're doing everything looking forward to bringing this game to you live from an opportunity standpoint as well. Jason, go ahead and turn on our live tweet here. We'll turn on our live tweet. We'll be live tweeting this game as well as going on to tuning radio.
Live tweeting from at LTS WRGF on Twitter.
LTS WRGF is Twitter name. Remind everybody that too. At LTS WRGF. Jason, what does live tweeting do for the viewers and listeners of our broadcast?
Well, first thing it does is it keeps the score in check, and where you can see a quarter by quarter or period by period, whatever the case is, what the score is in the game, and just in case if you have to leave your radio or something, and you can't be around the radio or live stream at the time.
What is that Twitter name, just in case people want to listen in later in the year?
The Twitter handle is at LTSWRGF. There's no underscores, no numbers. It's the letters LTSWRGF.
Hello and welcome to Greenfield-Central High School. I'm Mitch Gibson alongside Jason Wyrick and Max Holtzclaw leading the game tonight. It is our first basketball broadcast of the year. Whether it is men's, women's, we are here ready to bring you the matchup. I will be calling the game tonight. Most of the girls' games is what I will be doing. Jason and Max and also a couple others to help bring us the game on play-by-play for the men's games. The girls so far are 1-0 on the season. They did take on Cambridge City. They beat them last week. That was a good game last Friday night. They took on Cambridge City. Jason did win that game and did pull off the victory. And then last week as well, on a Thursday night, Newcastle Trojans took on the Vernon Heights Ravens and did come out victorious against the Ravens, which sets them 1-0 as well. So sets us up for a good game tonight, good matchup. The Greenfield-Central Cougars, our senior list, have no seniors on the team. It's pretty impressive to see how the Cougars will match up the whole entire rest of the year. But also the Newcastle Trojans only have a few seniors as well. They have 4 scheduled over the roster. One of them is a starter. Two of them are a starter. Jason, you did attend that game Friday night at Cambridge City. How did that go? What are some pros and cons for the Cougars this year?
Well, a couple of things that I saw from the Cougars: good passing, good communication on the passing. And another thing is they were able to lock up the boards and they were able to get their rebounds, which is always a plus for any team, especially a young one like this team. And with this team, Nick said it exactly right. It's very impressive that this team doesn't have any seniors. It is as talented as it is. Starting 2 freshmen, Katie Helgeson and Maddie Wise. Also starting juniors, Regan Lewis, Shelby Oldham, and sophomores, Savannah Bellamy.
Filling time is really key before broadcast due to making sure that we have all of our stats, all stuff set out correctly. Gives us a couple minutes to go through and make sure that we are getting our introduction ready and down. And make sure our introduction is tight as possible, making sure that we just get everything through without any mistakes to make sure that we let everybody on the broadcast understand where we're at, what's going on with the broadcast, who the teams are playing, starting lineups, what color jerseys they're wearing, just as much information as possible. Jason, what's a part of your everyday broadcasts that you do, a checklist to get started before your broadcast?
Well, before we get started, we have to talk about, like you said, the colors of jerseys and which way they're going, and then the lineups and stuff. And then another thing we do is we break down the lineups and the matchups to the other team. And in that case, you find a lot of different key matchups that we think are going to impact the game. And then we talk about our X factors, what we think is going to happen in the game, and then in all, our prediction of what's going to happen in the game. And all of that helps us to kill time in between the time we go live, which is a set time, to the time that the game begins at tip-off, because they play after a JV game and there's no set time for the second game.
That's correct. Sometimes the varsity game will be set for like a 7 o'clock start time, and then as the case we had here at the Newcastle game, the game started not until like 7:35, 7:40. We were killing time to make sure we got to that 7:45 time, so we went on around 7:35, talked for a good 10 minutes, and then brought in the introductions for the PA announcer just to kill a little bit more time, give us a little bit of a breath and relax before we went play-by-play. So I think it's really key to make sure we fill all of our time correctly before we start a broadcast. So again, Cougars do get the ball and do get across half court. We got pass for Maddie Wise. 2 seconds are on left underneath for a bucket. It's going to be good for 2 points. 4-2, Cougars are up. 6:03 left to go here in the first quarter. Ball's going to get across the half court line quickly. Ball's going to be thrown up in the middle by number 24 of the Newcastle Trojans. Rebound down number 11, Regan Lewis. Maddie Wise gets the ball once again, looks to go up, it's not, shot fakes, passes out to number 4, Shelby Oldham. Oldham misses the front end of that one. Ball's going to be handed to number 4, that's going to be Thomas at the Newcastle Trojans. Savannah Brown gets the ball up court real quick for the Greenfield-Central Cougars. Pitches to Maddie Wise. Maddie Wise again for another layup. Good play there for the Greenfield-Central Cougars, breaking that press and getting that court real quick. Just right back at us, Newcastle Trojans back there, good hard. Short charge for Regan Lewis. instead of taking it down on the floor, more like Thomas.
That was a great play by Lewis.
The favorite kids are looking this year. Cole, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Cool, one of my good buddies. Guys have a good practice today?
Yeah, we did. Went hard.
Why did you go hard? So did you throw any dunks today?
A couple, yeah.
Couple throw you off the backboard or anything like that? What are you guys looking like this year? You guys gonna be quick? Or gonna be a little bit better than you guys were last year?
Yeah.
Get over 500 this year? What do you guys think?
I think we'll be a lot more fast-paced this year. The ball a lot better.
I know you guys did a lot of the Laker, which is a slow down offense. Everything happened last year. Are you guys gonna run any more of that? Are you guys just gonna play up and down and try to run that motion zero and try to get the team off guard? Thinking we're gonna play that slow down offense like we did the past couple of years, or what are you gonna do?
I think we're gonna start up tempo, just like start the year off, and then set up like a game lead, start on the score. I think we'll slow down a little bit.
Okay, good. That's a big shoot to fill, so we'll see what we can do. Cole, thank you for coming down for a little pre-interview. Supposed to bring a good game. They will be playing Thursday or Friday. It's going to be Thursday. It is this Thursday. This Thursday? Yeah. This Thursday against Beach Grove. Well, I see Beach Grove. That's the first home game. First town is going to be at home. Come out and support the Greenfield-Central Computer. See how they're going to be this year. Which is good. Maybe see Cole. Let's go down or two. Come on out, Cole. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Good luck this year. Jason made the shot. Also got 3 assists, 2 turnovers, and a steal. Jason, wow. I turned to my right, and Jason Wyrick, he got a 2-liter Mountain Dew. Jason, what happened?
Okay, well, at halftime here at Newcastle, they do shoot a 3-pointer for $1, and if you make it, you can get a 2-liter of Pepsi product. Well, I took a shot and airballed my first one. I was trying to shoot like a free throw. So I decided I wanted to make this shot. So I came back a second time and shot it like a jump shot, and it went in. Nothing but the net might have been. So I do have a 2-liter of Mountain Dew now in my possession.
During the middle of one of the halftime interviews that I was doing with Cole Oleski, there's just one part of the interview, Jason. I turned my head and I see you out on the midcourt shooting a 3-pointer, trying to make a basket. You went to use the restroom, and then I guess you came back down and decided to throw $1 in the pot there. They had a halftime shooting thing, and you won, and you got to go shoot a free throw, or shoot a 3-pointer, and you didn't win. And you came back with a big 2-liter of Mountain Dew sitting on the broadcast booth, which I thought was pretty funny, Jason.
Yeah, I mean, they had a thing where if you donated $1 to whatever they were putting that towards, you could shoot a 3-pointer, and then if you made it, you'd get a ticket and go and get a 2-liter from the concession stand. And I took a shot, and it went in, so I was pretty stoked that I turned back and saw you guys, and I saw Max especially, saw my reaction to hitting that, and
literally, I saw a whole bunch of athletic athletes in our school that were trying to shoot baskets. Like Cam Knuckles was trying to shoot a basket, and then Jason, the non-athletic kid of the town, shoots one and just absolutely makes it, swishes it, which is kind of funny and interesting to do. But we try to have as much fun as we can, as long as we're making sure that we're staying focused throughout that. But the halftime is kind of Jason's little thing. Designed for Regan Lewis. Regan Lewis got to get the ball down. He's going to shoot it. Regan Lewis going to put it out. 2 seconds left to go. 1. Ball's up in the air.
Are they calling it? Oh, with 1.4 seconds left.
I'm Mitch Gibson, joined by small forward Brooke Bell of the women's basketball team, and on the very heartbreaking, defeating loss against Newcastle Trojans this past Tuesday night. Brooke, it was kind of a tough game, but we got some questions to ask you.
how do you accommodate for the loss of 3 starters due to foul accumulation?
Well, it was pretty hard to begin with because they are our main scorers, so we just had to pick up our game and just pick up for what that they do, and just, I don't know.
What was going through your mind when Regan put up the 2 game-tying shots?
Oh, I was excited. I don't know. There were so many emotions running through my head, but I just had to remember that there was still time left on the clock, so I had to play defense and pick up the slack and stuff.
Definitely, I know there was about 5 seconds left on the clock there at the end of the game. Not at the end of the first overtime. Regan did put that shot up, and then again it was 5 seconds left on the clock. They still had time to go back and shoot the ball in the other hoop. There's very good defense that we had to get back. And then with the loss of all three of those starters late in the second and first overtimes, it was hard for our team to get the baskets that we've had been getting throughout the rest of the game. On the night so far for the Greenfield-Central Cougars, Nadia Wise led the team with 16 points. Regan Lewis had 12, and Savannah Geralmi had 11 herself. Also for the Newcastle Trojans, Laura Thomas, leading scorer with 16, along with Shelby Alderson sharing that lead score with 16. Samantha Underwood with 6. Elena Woolard had 13. Brandy Pennington had 10. The 30-foot Gemma Fredette had 10 points, and Zoe Curtis had 5 herself. A very, very devastating game, but I hate to see the Cougars not come on top. Things happen like that, that's just the way it is. We'll look to see what's going to happen here in the next couple of weeks.
One thing I do want to say is I just saw the other radio guys from Newcastle, and they're not students. So I just want to thank Mr. McKenna and Mr. Renshaw and Mr. Hudson, who have all made the radio program here possible to let everybody that has called a game at Greenfield Central on the radio possible, because we can't thank you guys enough for that.
Definitely. Well, that's all the time we have for, boys. Thanks for joining me tonight and for our documentary. That's all the time we have for. Thanks for joining me. On behalf of me, Jason Wyrick, Max Holtzclaw, Mr. McKenna, and Mr. Hudson for making this broadcast possible. Everybody have a great and safe night. Remember that you can make a difference, Greenfield. Everybody have a great and safe night. See you later. One of the most stressful things is when we do that ending and do the wrapping up of the broadcast, definitely making sure we get the time right on top of the hour, or whether it's at a bottom of the hour and a quarter of an hour, to make sure that it's easy for the automation back on the producing studio, so they can get it into automation correctly and make sure everything's flowing in the right movement to get the broadcast ended, shut down, and so everybody else can get out of the production studio. In my point, it's probably one of the most stressful times, because if we don't hit right on top of that, we have to talk for another 10 more minutes to the next top of the hour or to the next quarter of the hour, and I definitely think that's probably the most stressful.
I definitely agree. You have to talk about the breakdown of the game, what happened, your leading scores, different things that affected the outcome of the game, and then you also have to talk about going forward, what's next for the team, and then talk about how different players on the team have to do something the same or different, and why we think that, and we all use that to kill time until we go to automation back here at the studio, because if you leave without going to automation, we leave our board guy out to dry until the next quarter of the hour. So every 15 minutes, if we miss one, we have to go for 15 more minutes, and that's really stressful, especially if you don't have much to talk about because you've already been talking for a while.
And not only is it just stressful for us, but it's also stressful for Mr. McKenna or Mr. Renshaw or whoever it was that we've had broadcast or produced the shows in the past. It's very stressful for them because they're getting ready to do the right on the top, put it into automation. And sometimes we can't get it for them because sometimes we'll skip something or we'll have to keep talking or we'll just miss it all the way, so we'll have to keep talking throughout that. But it's very important to make sure we're filling the time the correct way. That's why I like to, if we're not really close to the top of the hour, at the end of the game, to go ahead and shut it off then. But take a PSA break, redeem yourself a little bit, count the time, how long you can talk before we get to a top of the hour or a quarter of the hour, or bottom of the hour, vice versa. But it's very important to make sure we take our time and make sure we're using our time wisely to make sure we get the automation back and ready to go on the right time.